What is culture? Culture is a complex whole which includes knowledge, beliefs, arts, morals, costumes, and other capabilities and habits acquired by a man as a member of society. Ibig sabihin, ito yung mga kabuuan ng mga paniniwala, kaalamanan o anumang nakukuha ng isang individual as a part of society. Or sa madaling salita, it's a way of life or design for living. Example, nagising ka sa umaga, nagligpit ka ng higaan mo, culture yon. Nagsipilyo ka, culture yon. Naghilamos ka ng muka, culture yon. Ayun ang way of life na sinasabi. Sabi nga kanina, na culture is a complex whole which includes many societal aspects, and these are attitudes, beliefs, language, costumes, behavior, rituals, faith and religion, food, art, music, and dramas. Kaya culture is everything because it is what a person has, does, and thinks as part of society. Yung lahat ng example kanina is a culture. Kung aspects pa lamang nito, nandyan na yung behavior, nandyan na yung faith, nandyan na yung religion, nandyan na yung language. So, culture is everything. Kahit na material na bagay pa yan or idea na tinuro o methods, that is culture. Despite the wide variety of definitions, there are common elements that span the different formulations. Learned culture, shared culture. Learned culture. People do not inherit their culture. Culture is a set of beliefs, attitudes, and practices that can an individual learns. Kasi pwede naman talaga natin matutunan yung culture kahit sa panonood lang natin ng anime, Thai movies, K-dramas, natututunan natin yung culture ng ibang society. Culture shared. Culture is shared individuals as members of society. This implies that a behavior cannot be considered as a culture if there is only one person practicing it. Siyempre, sabi nga na no man is an island. Sa culture din, hindi mo matatawag na culture kung iisa lang ang nagpa-practice nito. For example, nasi-share ng ibang bansa ang culture nila by using products, videos at kung anumang bagay, yun ang shared culture.
Culture consists of many components that interrelate with one another. Knowledge of a culture requires a deep understanding of its different parts. Cultural differences in marketing should receive primary attention when selling goods or services internationally, as the cultural environment changes to one country to another. This means that we must understand the culture of a specific state before selling the product. In this section, we will discuss those elements that are most likely to matter to international marketers: the material life, language, social interactions, aesthetics, religion, education, and values. The first element of a culture is a material life. Material life refers primarily to the technologies that are used to produce, distribute, and consume goods and services within society. To understand it better, material life are those products made by people. It is not the products by nature or naturally occurring. It also refers to the results of technology and is directly related to how a society organizes its economic activity. Differences in the material environment partly explain differences in the level and type of demand for many consumption goods. For example, refrigerated transport doesn't exist in many African countries. Introduction of a material life into countries that do not use any refrigerated transportation may bring about cultural changes which may or may not be desirable. Second element of culture is language. As a communication medium, language has two parts: the spoken and the so-called silent language. The spoken language consists of vocal sounds or written or better known as body language. This is Edward Hall. Edward was an American anthropologist and cross-cultural researcher. Edward Hall identified 5 distinctive types of silent language. Number 1 is space, number 2, material possessions, number 3, friendship patterns, number 4, time, and lastly, agreements. The first type of silent language is space. Space refers to the conversation distance between people. The second type is material possession. It relates to the role of possessions in people's esteem of one another. The third type is friendship or friendship patterns. It covers the notion and treatment of friends. The fourth type is time. Time also varies across culture. Differences exist about the importance of punctuality, the usefulness of small talk, and so forth. And the last type is agreements. In other cultures, negotiations partner put faith in the spirit of the contract and trust among one another. It is important to really understand how language is used by the people in your target market. Even the hand gestures, body language, or eye contact. Kasi sa iba't ibang bansa magkakaiba yung meaning at pag-interpret ng mga salita. Meron sa ibang bansa maganda yung meaning, pero pag translate mo sa ibang salita, hindi maganda yung meaning. For example, yung slogan ng Kentucky Fried Chicken. Ang slogan nila ay finger licking good. Pero pag translate sa Chinese, it came out as eat your fingers off. So, this is called the language blunders. Language blunders is a result of careless translation of advertising slogans or product labels. Another example is hand gesture. In countries such as United States, the hand gesture like this is an okay sign. But in Japan, it means money. In Russia, it means zero. And in Brazil and parts of Southern Europe, it means gross insult. Pati sa facial expression meron din. According to this study, most of the East Asian people read the expression for fear as surprise and disgust as angry. A London-based consultant offers a few rules of thumb about talking to a non-native English speakers in English. Number 1 is vocabulary. Go for the simplest words. Example, use the word rich instead of loaded, affluent, or opulent. Number 2 is idioms. Pick and choose idioms carefully. Number 3 is grammar. Express one idea in each sentence. Avoid subclauses. Number 4, cultural references. Avoid culture-specific references. For example, ay si Marites, kamukha niya si Charo Santos, ganon. Number 5 is understanding non-native English speaker. This will be a matter of unpicking someone's accent. If you do not understand, make it seem that it is you, not the other party who is slow. There is social interactions. It refers to the way people relate to each other, for example, extended families, nuclear families, and kinship. All this group may be affect the marketers in his planning. Probably the most crucial expression of social interactions is the concept of kinship. In some other countries, kinship may be a tribe. In Western countries, the family unit refers to the nuclear family, being the parents and the children. The extended family unit is the relevant family unit in many developing countries.
Aesthetic. Aesthetic means it is relating to or dealing with the subject of aesthetic or is characterized by an appreciation of beauty or taste. According to Merriam-Webster, a particular taste for or approach to the what is pleasing to the senses and especially sight. There are synonyms of aesthetic: attractive, style, beautiful, strategy. Aesthetic sa Tagalog ay sangtingan ng ibig sabihin ay pag-aaral o filosofiya tungkol sa kanya.
To
Good day everyone, my name is Melanie Maya that will be discussing about the cross-cultural comparison. So, dito sa cross-cultural values, ito yung comparison ng various physiological, sociological, or culture values para malaman yung mga similarities and diversities na nag-occur sa iba't ibang cultures or societies. And dito din sa cross-cultural values, pwede din dito na ma-improve yung communication between the people from different cultures. So, meron tayo dito two types of context culture. The high context culture and the low context culture. First is the high context culture. Sa high context culture, it is the contrast of low context culture. Wherein dito sa high context culture, yung sinasabi mo is parang paligoy-ligoy. Hindi siya direct to the point. Hindi lang siya basta message, kundi ginagamitan mo din siya ng body language. Samantala naman, dito sa lower context culture is ito yung hindi mo na kailangan ng speaker tones, ng voice, ng body language, kundi kung ano yung sinasabi mo, direct to the point na siya. Kumbaga, kung ano yung sinabi mo, yun na rin yung ipinaparating mo. So, may example dito about sa high context culture and low context culture. Yun ay yung movie na The Chan is Missing, wherein may isang lawyer na may client siya na Chinese immigrant from China na sangkot siya sa isang traffic accident. So, dito, tinatanong siya ng police. The police is from the United States. Doon sa country na mismong pinangyarihan ng accident. So, tinatanong ng police, yung Chinese, kung nag-stop ba siya nung yung traffic light is naka-stop sign. So, ito naman si Chinese, hindi niya sinagot yung tanong ni police officer, kundi kung ano-ano yung sinabi niya. Sinabi niya about sa driving record niya, about sa kung ilang taon na siya nag-stay sa United. Kaya, si police officer, patuloy niya pa rin tinatanong yung question niya na hindi nasasagot ng Chinese. So, dito, the Chinese is the high context culture kasi paligoy-ligoy siya. Hindi siya direct to the point. At ang the low context culture dito is yung United States na police officer na direct to the point yung message niya na wala siyang paligoy-ligoy kundi yun mismo yung sinasabi niya. So, another example for high context and low context culture physiologically. So, meron dito, Chinese and American student. The Chinese is the high context culture and the American is the low context culture. So, meron pinapa-scan sa kanila na isang picture na merong main object and meron ding background. So, the Chinese student focuses on the background while the American student focuses on the main object mismo. So, parang yun din yung ipinaparating doon sa message. Kumbaga, si low context culture focuses on the main, yung pinaka-main, while the high context culture, doon siya sa background. Kumbaga, hindi yung pinaka-main. So, dito naman, si Hofstede develop another useful classification scheme. So, first dito is power distance. Dito sa power distance, nangunguna dito yung inequality. Kumbaga, kung ano yung estado mo sa buhay, ganun ka nila i-accept or tatratuhin. While in low power distance, dito, all is equal. Kumbaga, yung mga powerful people is like ordinary people lang din. In political, eto, meron silang military, autocratic, oligarchic government, power struggle, little discussion, and violence common. While in lower power distance, government based on majority, power sharing, much discussion, and little violence. Dito, mas may peace dito sa low power distance when it comes to political. Sa work naman na pyramid, narrow salary range from top to bottom, subordinate respect to be consulted. While in school naman, dito is yung mga student is tinitreat nila or ginagalang nila yung mga teachers nila kahit na wala sila sa school. While in lower power distance, yung mga teachers dito is, yung mga teacher also as the student treat each others as equal. Dito sa uncertainty avoidance, dito hindi maiiwasan yung pangyayari sa future, pero yung mga ibang culture is kinokontrol nila kung ano yung mangyayari sa future. Pero yung ibang cultures naman is hindi nila alam kung ano yung mangyayari sa future, kaya pinahayaan na lang mangyari kung ano. So sa example ng high certainty avoidance, ito yung mga country, the Greece, Portugal, Japan, France, and Spain. While in the lower uncertainty avoidance is the India, Malaysia, Great Britain, Sweden, and Singapore.